Hey, welcome to Office Hours. Welcome. Happy Friday. Thank you so much for joining me. And welcome to Office Hours. We'll get rolling here in just one moment. See, we got a good crew on here today. If you can hear me okay and you can see me okay and all that good stuff, please let me know. And hopefully, if you can't hear me, somebody will chime in and let me know that. Hope everybody's doing well. Happy December. We're right in the start of holiday season. I hope you're excited about that. And I also hope that you are fired up for this next year and you've got some plans that are got you all fired up, ready to go, ready to charge into the new year. Awesome. Thank you, everybody. Dale, Nancy, Jesse, O'Neill, Philip. Awesome. Welcome, everybody. Great to see you here. Happy December and welcome to Office Hours. All right. I like to start these things off here with a few updates just to get the conversation started. So I'm going to share with you a couple of things that I've found here in the last week that I think will be really useful for you and inspiring for you. And then these are Q&A calls, just a reminder, okay? So there is no agenda prepared for these calls. So I am here purely to answer your questions and see if I can help you get unstuck with anything that maybe is holding you back in your progress. So please go ahead and type in any questions and just let me know and I will do my absolute best to respond to them and help you out, okay? So first thing I want to share with you today here, let me go ahead and do the screen share. And that is, let's see here, 1 second, let me get the right Chrome tab here to pull up. Actually, let me see if I can share all of Chrome. Make it a little bit easier here to switch back and forth. Hey everyone, hey Emil, welcome. Steve, welcome. Good to see you here. Okay, so that is, let me go over to, let me try this again here real quick, or I mean, try it for the first time, I should say. I want to make sure that I'm doing this right here with StreamYard so I don't cause any problems. Okay, cool. So I'm going to go ahead and share this and hopefully you should see, yep, I'm going to go away from StreamYard just for one moment here so you don't see the crazy spiral of me showing myself on the screen and you get that, absolutely nutty thing where it shows my screen a bazillion times and looks like we're going down a wormhole. I don't want to show you that. So let me just show you this article. And I'm actually just pulling up my YouTube account here real quick so I can just see that you guys are seeing the right thing. Give me one moment here. Just pulling it up on my phone, but I think that we are good to go. This article, if you have not read this yet, I shared this in the Facebook groups, but this is absolutely an amazing article. And I shared, that if you are not motivated in today's world to produce content, to leverage social channels, to build an audience and have an audience first business as we describe it, and to make some sort of offers that are not specific to your time, okay? When I talk about leverage, my brand leverage, lvrg.com, right? Leverage to me is a theme that has become critical for me in my life where I am looking for leverage in everything that I do. And, you get leverage from having the right strategies. You get leverage from having other things working on your behalf so that you don't have to put in as much effort. You get leverage from, automation and things like that. When it comes to business, the greatest forms of leverage out there today are content, distribution of that content through social channels, distribution of that content through paid advertising, automation to follow up with people who express interest in that content, and then business models where the delivery of your offer is not dependent on your time. Okay, those are, to me, as an entrepreneur who is building a business specifically for a lifestyle that I want to live, those are the ultimate forms of leverage. And I think anybody in my audience paying attention to me should be incredibly excited by the opportunities that those factors create to give you a really nice life and to take advantage of those things, where you can. Look for opportunities to be strategic to take advantage of those things. And when I say take advantage of them, for me, that means that I design everything I do with those things in mind. I'm not interested in business models that don't fit in terms of being able to take advantage of leveraging those factors. So to me, I don't know how anybody could be an entrepreneur on this planet right now and just not be absolutely obsessed with leveraging those things, because they're incredible. The power is incredible. So this article, this young lady who is a Microsoft Excel guru, okay? There's almost no more boring topic than Microsoft Excel in my mind. And I know a lot of us may struggle with, how do I make content that's interesting, right? And how do I necessarily, talk about subjects that may not be the most thrilling subjects in the world, but build an audience around it and add value to it. And she has done such an incredible job with talking about Excel every day, and started on TikTok of all places, a place that, you would not really expect conversations around Microsoft Excel to really boom. Built up a massive audience very quickly, then went to Instagram, has built up a massive audience on Instagram here very quickly. In fact, here is her channel, Miss Excel, on Instagram. Highly recommend that you start following it and watch what she's doing and look at the way she's structured things and stuff like that. She's very, very smart, and is doing an amazing job with this channel. And if you read this article, you will hear her story of building this business. I mean, what a lifestyle business she has created. She's having six-figure days, so in a day, making six figures now, selling her training on how to use Microsoft Excel through TikTok and Instagram. And it's really, really inspiring as to the possibilities of leveraging these factors that I just discussed: creating content, using social channels, having a business model that is detached from your time in terms of delivery. She talks about all of those things in this interview. I think it's a great interview because she very specifically talks about the decisions that she's making to not go in certain directions, because she's like, no, that would take up my time. And I love my business the way it is right now. I love my life the way it is. So highly recommend that you check that out. The other thing I want to share with you here real quick today is this episode of the 7-Figure Small podcast. And 7-Figure Small podcast is a fun one to listen to. It's a very similar theme to leverage. It's building these smaller lifestyle businesses. Brian Clark is a great content creator and entrepreneur. And in this particular episode, he's talking to the founders of Crypto Dads. Crypto Dads, honestly, was something I had not heard of until this episode. And this episode, was a couple of months old. So these guys have been out there for a little while. You've probably heard of Crypto Punks. You've heard of Bored Ape Yacht Club. You may be wondering, is this NFT thing just hysteria, or is there something to it? You may be trying to understand what there is to it of substance that you can learn from to, potentially impact your business going forward. I am a massive, massive believer in NFTs and blockchain, Web 3.0, and what it's going to do for all of us in terms of forms of leverage. It's going to be unbelievable. The current hysteria around art-focused NFTs, that is absolutely going to simmer down, and there's going to be a lot of people that will lose money. But the underlying premise is incredible, and the underlying premise I should state clearly is, to me, that you can use this technology to create community and to create economic models that are just different than today's world. And so this is an excellent case study on a couple of guys that it sounds like to me are really doing this right. They've used the NFT to create a community very, very quickly. And through that, now they are continuing to find ways to add value to that community through the NFT. It's a really cool case study. Highly recommend it. I'll copy this link and post it inside of the YouTube notes here. So definitely recommend. I think, again, the NFT thing is, yes, there's hysteria around it right now, but it's really important that you don't tune it out because of the hysteria, and give yourself the opportunity to learn from what is going on there. Okay. So I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to paste that link right now in the comments here on YouTube, and I hope that you'll take an opportunity to go check that out. So let's see here. Hey, Barton, welcome. David, welcome. Jesse. Yeah, Ethan Smith says that article is insane. Absolutely. Alejandro, welcome. Dale, welcome. Good to see all of you here. Okay, let's go ahead and jump into some questions. If you have questions, go ahead and type them in, please. Otherwise, I will stand here and stare at you awkwardly. It won't go well. It doesn't make for good YouTubing when you just sit here and stare at the camera. So please type in any questions that you have. Let's see here. Dale says, do you offer one-on-one coaching? Dale, I do this in very, very limited circumstances. And honestly, I probably will not offer one-on-one coaching in the next year at all. I don't expect to. And again, this just goes to the themes that I just shared with you around having my time separated from my value delivery. I value my time way too much and my flexibility way too much. But I will tell you that in 2022, I am planning on rolling out some options for those people who I think what you're looking for from coaching. I will have a way to deliver it. But yes, as Jesse just put in there in the notes, one to many, absolutely. So I will have an opportunity, I believe, for you to get what you're looking for. It just won't be one-to-one. And I can understand if that's not a good fit for everybody, but I've got to design the model around what's a good fit for me. So, but I appreciate the question. Let's see here. So Ethan Smith says, at what point is Google AdSense or similar worth it for local media sites? That's a great question, Ethan. So I've got a couple of perspectives on this. So I'll share this with you because one of them is really fresh right now. So I have been using Google AdSense on the There San Diego site essentially since the site started. And the reason why is because I did not want the site to look, naked. I wanted it to look like a media site from day one. So I want people to go there with the expectation of, hey, you're going to see advertising on this. And it adds to the credibility of the site, right? Like if you go to a site right now that is proclaiming to be any sort of media site, and you go there and there's no ads running on that site, you're like, okay, this looks like this is probably just some dude in his bedroom blogging at night, right? Versus if you go to a site that looks like a media site, there are ads on it. Media is supported by ads. So when you go there and you see that, it gives it more credibility. So I wanted that credibility from day one, and so I suggest that as early as you can get those AdSense ads on there, that you do have that on there. So in terms of when it is worth it, I don't know exactly at what point, because I have not studied the economics of the payout of AdSense really in quite some time in any detail. What I can tell you is that, like, as an example, There San Diego is very, very, very low cost for me to run. It's super low cost. I mean, that's why like during the pandemic, even though there was, essentially no advertising going on, I continued to run it, continue to publish content, all that good stuff, because it's super low investment for me. And at this point, the money that I generate from Google AdSense covers the costs of my operations of their San Diego. So, it's worth it to me. It's been worth it to me for quite some time. And my traffic is, depending on where you're at, maybe larger than yours, or it's possible that yours is going to be much larger than mine, depending on the market you're in and all that good stuff. But for me, it's been worth it, for quite some time. Ethan, the other thing that I would say, and to anybody who is doing local media, the great thing is that if you invest in creating more traffic, so let's say you put together some really good content and you want to boost that content using Facebook ads and stuff like that, your ability to buy traffic for good content on a local basis is super, super, super cheap. I'll pay here in San Diego $5 CPMs. Okay, $5 cost per thousand to boost a good content piece. That's just not a lot, right? So you can go around and you can sell that same attention for $20 CPMs, or significantly higher, depending on your site and who your audience is. And so when I say you can go around, you can go back and sell that attention, what I mean is you can go sell to advertisers, hey, if you'd like to sponsor some ads on our site, you'll be able to sell that at a much, much higher CPM than what you're buying it for. So Google AdSense, when you buy that $5 CPM traffic, Google AdSense is going to pay you whatever they're going to pay you from their program. It's not going to be $5 CPMs, but it's going to help you pay off that traffic that you just invested in getting. So at least it can get you to a point where, paying for the growth of your media property is not very expensive at all. Now, the other thing I want to say, and John Marenko left a comment here, hey, John, good to see you, where he said there are other ad platforms that are better than AdSense. There are absolutely other ad platforms out there that I know, just as John is stating, that you will make more money if you put them on your platform, on your media site. So why have I not done that? Purely because my model has not been focused on that being my economic engine. Okay, my economic engine of that media property has not been ads on the site that are these passive ad network ads. Okay, the way that I make my money from that site is by selling sponsorship in my newsletter, sponsorship on Instagram, and then sponsored content on my site that I then promote through Facebook and through my channels. So the way that I make my money is not traditionally on those more passive kind of banner ads. Now, I do got to say though, that I have just started working with a company called Broad Street Ads. Okay, I literally like just got the technology loaded up on my site and stuff like that. So I haven't really messed with it at all yet. But it's awesome. It's a really, really nice platform that allows you to create your own ads for your site. So if I go out and sell to a concert promoter here in San Diego, hey, I'll run your ads all over my site, I can do it really, really effectively. It's an ad management platform that I can very easily put up, ad campaigns on my own site. And the great thing is that it works with Google AdSense as well. So I have Google AdSense running everywhere on my site, but then if I go and sell, hey, on this page, I want this to be sponsored by this concert promoter here in town, then I just go into my ad platform in Broad Street Ads and say, create the campaign and say, hey, for this period of time, don't show those AdSense ads anymore, show this ad from this paying customer. So now I'm going to have a really nice, easy ability to sell and manage ads on my own site. I could have been doing that for the last several years, just to be clear. There are ad management platforms out there to do that, that have existed. So I could have done that. I found that they were all too much of a pain in the neck, and Broad Street Ads is really, really well done. I've been just super impressed by it. It also allows me to put their ad spaces into my email newsletter, and the reporting that comes from it that I can then give to the customer, all that. I mean, it's just really, really top notch. So highly recommend that if you're running a media site, you check that out. I'm actually doing a live media sales training. So anybody who's invested in my local media launch accelerator or my local newsletter profits, I'll be doing a live updated local media training call on, I think it's Tuesday of next week is when it's scheduled. And so I'll share with you some, more details on the strategies around this and all that good stuff. So hopefully you can attend that as well. So I hope that helps you. Let's see here. See, we do be, is that how it says, I want to learn how to run a media site. Yeah, media sites are awesome. I think everybody should be interested in learning how to run a media site. Alejandro says, what's the name of the platform? The name of the platform is Broad Street. Okay. Broad Street. So yeah, it's really, really nice. I've been impressed, and it's very affordable, very affordable. Ross in Aruba. Awesome. Ross in Aruba has a question. He says, how did you start there, San Diego? Did you offer free listings at first or paid listings from day one? Okay, this is a really good question. This is an important question, because the tricky thing about having a media property is nobody is going to want to advertise there. Nobody is going to want to be there, period. Like, nobody's going to want to go and visit your site unless you have stuff there to share, right? So you have got to invest in creating the content and doing it consistently so that people have a reason to visit your site. And if people have a reason to visit your site, then advertisers have a reason to advertise on your site. Okay. So there is an investment that you have to make. And that's what I think prevents most people from doing, this model. Because honestly, I can't understand why in today's world, why every single person wouldn't have a media site, honestly. The only thing that I could think of to justify why you wouldn't is that in your mind, you've got that it's going to be too hard, too time consuming, too expensive to create the content. But you have to create the content. So you've got to be willing to make that investment. So you don't want to just go out of the gate and start trying to charge people, right? You just want to, hey, you've got something exciting going on that I can tell a story about or whatever, or an event coming up, depending on what your model is for your media. You just want to start publishing content. So anywhere that you can get it, take it, put it up on your site and create some content with it so that you start getting that attention coming to your site. Okay. And then you've got to be consistent about it. Okay. That's the way media works. You can't just publish something, 2 weeks ago and then that's it. You've got to be creating content. So, at San Diego, I mean, we create, maybe at this point we're doing 5-6 pieces of content on our site every single day. We're publishing on Instagram, multiple times a day, Facebook multiple times a day. And I'm actually increasing my investments in all of that stuff. But I got to tell you guys, none of that is very expensive. Okay. It's not, it is a very low cost operation for me to run. And when I say it's not very expensive, I have like the equivalent of one full-time person working on it. But that, is somebody that I'm paying, a member of my team in the Philippines. So, it's not anywhere near, US costs and budget and things like that, for, insurance or, any of that type of stuff. So it's really not that expensive at all. You just gotta commit to, getting in there and creating that operation and figuring it out. So, in terms of then how I got started with their San Diego, I just made that commitment and I sat down day one, did a little bit of research on, hey, what content do I think here in San Diego is going to get attention? Came up with some specific titles and literally created like a dozen pieces of content to like launch the site with. And when I say a dozen pieces of content, you can go to our website and check it out. These are not like sophisticated pieces of content. So when I say a dozen pieces of content, this did not take me long to do. It was like over the course of, a week, I just sat down and cranked out a bunch of posts and said, okay, let's launch. And then I promoted those pieces of content using Facebook ads to get the visibility engine going. I knew I had to do what I call prime the pump. I had to prime the pump. I had to get the thing moving, right? So I just invested in Facebook ads to get that content visibility and start getting attention to our property. That may sound expensive to you. It wasn't, okay? I'm talking like a $20 a day budget, okay? So it's not real expensive. And I'm not saying $20 a day for each post. I'm saying $20 a day for all of those posts combined. So, I was not spending a lot of money, and that strategy still absolutely works today. How do I know it still absolutely works today? Because I'm doing it again right now, essentially to relaunch their San Diego and make sure that, I'm kind of cranking up that visibility again here going into the next year. So super powerful model that is very, very high leverage. As far as I'm concerned, the investment that I'm making versus the attention that I'm getting in the community and the benefits that come from that attention, from being a part of the community, the contacts that I have, the events that I'm invited to, the restaurants that I get to go to, the advertising, obviously, that people come to us and want to do advertising. All of that is much, much higher reward than the investment that I had to make in actually getting the property going. I hope that helps. Ross, Dale said, where do you find upcoming events to write about for there, San Diego? Are you writing the articles or do you hire it out? Any estimate on what the website brings in annual profits? Okay, cool. So first thing, where do I find the events to write about? Scouring just resources in San Diego. Facebook is a really good one. Eventbrite is a really good one. And then once you've been doing this for a little while, like I have, people just contact us every day, right? I mean, we get, PR firms, we get event organizers. They just contact us every single day and, hey, we're having this event, can we put it on your site? That type of thing. So, at first, obviously, again, you have to prime the pump. So I just went and just found very obvious sources, Facebook being the big one, Eventbrite being the big one. Honestly, you can populate your site with just content from those two. You don't really need anything else. But once you get going, people are going to contact you. So you want to make sure on your website you have like a thing that says, hey, if you have an event coming up, something that you want to share or whatever, submit it to tips at whatever, events at whatever. Just have an email address like that where people can send stuff to. Okay. And then in terms of the content, am I writing the articles or do I hire it out? So again, I have one person that I would say is a content assembler, okay, versus a writer. So what I do is I take those events, I take press releases, that type of thing, and I send them to her and I say, hey, create a post. She knows what I expect now. I've given her standards to follow. And so she creates a post. And then it's good enough at this point. It wasn't always this way. It took a little time to get to this point, but it's good enough at this point where I just say, okay, just go ahead and hit publish, okay? Because I don't want to be a bottleneck. So she hits publish, and then there's almost always some little editing that I'm going to do. And then so when I see those articles are published, I'll go back, I'll jump in, do some quick editing, and then they're good to go. So she is more of a content assembler. She's not a writer. I also then hire writers, so typically local writers here in San Diego, where I want to create, like an original piece of content for us. So, hey, write an article about the best places to go in Palm Springs for, boutique hotels. Okay. So I'll pay somebody to create that post because I want a local writer. I want somebody that's going to be able to really understand, local culture and, has been to Palm Springs and gone to those boutique hotels and stuff like that so that I can get a real nice piece done. Again, those are not very expensive at all. Typically a post like that I'll pay like $75 for or something like that. So That's how we do it. Any estimate on what the website brings in annually in profits? Now, Dale, those are the numbers like that are not anything that I'm comfortable with sharing publicly. What I can tell you is that you can certainly, I mean, it's a media site. Look around at any media site in your local market. You will find that there are media sites making a good living in your local market by running some sort of media site. So you can too. And then what I would also say is that if you are using it as a strategy to then lead to something else as well. So if you are an agency and you're going to sell marketing services for your agency as well, if you are, man, if you're a real estate agent, I am very seriously considering getting into the real estate market here in San Diego, just because I know I can absolutely kill it with the media presence that I have, right? Most real estate agents are just going out doing, the exact same typical routine, and they're not really advertising. They're not really, doing anything to stand out. I can crush real estate, I know, within like 6 months here in San Diego, just by having this media presence that I do, that I could just leverage like crazy to promote my brand, to promote, houses that I have for sale. I mean, any of that type of stuff. So when you think about it from both angles like that, there aren't very many people out there in the local media space that are thinking about it in that way at all. And so it gives you revenue opportunities that most people are just not really thinking about. Okay. And so I'll give you an example on that real estate front. It doesn't mean that I have to go be a real estate agent, right? I have really good friends here in my neighborhood that I know that are very successful real estate brokers. And I just talk to them and say, hey guys, what would it take for me to be able to give you leads that and I told them, I'm not interested in just selling you leads for $35 a lead or whatever. I said, I want a percentage of the commission of the deals. And so they told me, you have to get your real estate license. And then when you send those deals over to our team, if a deal closes, we'll give you X percentage. And that percentage is way more than, $35 a lead. And so I'm like, okay, that sounds good. So I'm considering getting my real estate license and setting that up as a model where I can just drive, leads to another existing brokerage and to their reps that I have confidence in. And then, that's a sick opportunity. So Tim says that's why we're launching our real estate neighborhood guide program. Yeah, absolutely. Tim is up in Oregon and has a great media model and has a great software platform and stuff like that. He gets this, and so there's lots of opportunity there. Dave, also super smart local marketer who's got media property and software as well. And Dave's saying there's no better foot in the door than that media property. And it's absolutely true. There is nothing that will get you in the door more easily, get your conversations going, get your business going, all that stuff, than having attention, right? Ultimately, what everybody wants is attention to their business and attention to their offers. And so when you are demonstrating very clearly in the marketplace that you know how to get attention, it's just an easy foot in the door. Just imagine the difference in the pitch, okay? I'm an agency and I go to the local restaurant and I go, local restaurant, you can pay me and I can get you attention. Well, how do I know you can get me attention? Well, you can, go talk to these other, clients that I've worked with. I got them attention. Okay, yeah, I can do that. I can, I'll hear your pitch. I'll go talk to them. Sure. You got some video case studies. Yeah. Okay. Now, Mike walks in the door, Mr. Restaurant Owner, I can get you attention. How do I know you can get me attention? Well, take a look. First of all, I practice what I preach. I'm running this media site that gets, 75,000 unique visitors a month. I've got 40-something thousand people in this audience. I've got 30,000 people in this audience. I've got 30,000 people on my newsletter. My crowd is made up of foodies that love to go out to new restaurants and eat, love to go try new things. I've got 5,000 people within 5 miles of your restaurant, and I can do X, Y, and Z. I can turn on social posts. I can turn on newsletter posts. I can turn on media, right here immediately on this property and start getting you attention tomorrow. It's a very different conversation when you walk in the door with an asset, right? There's very little I have to do to prove to you beyond that I can get you attention. It's like, hey, see the front page right there? I'll put an article about you on the front page. How's that sound? It's like, it's simple. It's straightforward. So when we talk about leverage earlier in this conversation, content, okay? Audience, attention. Those are the ultimate forms of leverage. Gary Vee, bless his heart, finally, after listening to him enough, several years ago, it really sunk into my brain that guy knows what the heck he's talking about, where he's saying, look, I need to control attention. If you control attention, you can direct that attention to any number of offers, right? And this is why you see The Rock, who's got 280 million or 300 million or whatever the number is now, Instagram followers, why he's been able to take over Hollywood. He took over the tequila business. He's taken over the energy drink business. He's doing all of those things because he's got attention and he's able to direct that attention to any number of offers. And that is going to keep on going. And The Rock is going to end up being, probably the richest entertainer in history, because he understands this and he's capitalizing on it as well as anybody, right? So it is always worth it to build that asset, to build that attention-getting asset, okay? And in fact, it's just becoming more and more worth it, all right? That's the theme of the NFT thing that I shared with you earlier today, is it's just becoming more and more valuable to have an audience and have attention. The economic models around attention are just getting better and better. And you can tell I'm enthusiastic about it. I think that we are entering into this golden age for entrepreneurs where, man, if you invest in that, if you invest in an audience, if you invest in creating content for an audience, you're going to have a really unlimited number of opportunities. Dale says, I'm a marketer that is now a real estate agent, and why I would be interested in a quick strategy session. Yeah, absolutely, Dale. I totally get it. I mean, that you are sitting on an awesome opportunity. Totally get it. Cool. What other questions? Thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk about the things that I'm super passionate about, because those are the things that I'm super passionate about. So I will take any opportunity to get up on my soapbox and talk about those topics. So any other questions that you have, go ahead and type them in, let me know, and I will do my best to address them. I hope everybody's got an awesome, if you don't have your plan for next year yet, and when I say plan, starting with just, hey, what are your goals, and just getting really clear on what it is that you want to do differently here in this next year to achieve those goals. Now's the time to do that, right? Try and get that exercise done before the holidays, guys, because you want to go into the holidays with just a clear mind, right? You want to just enjoy the holidays. For an ambitious entrepreneur, in order for you to enjoy something like that downtime with the friends and family and all that, you've got to feel like you're on top of your game, like you're ready to rumble, right? Otherwise, I know for me, I can't fully relax, right? So get that work done now so that you can go into the holidays, enjoy it, and then January 1, January 2, whatever it is, hit the ground running, really full head of steam. In other words, do not wait until the new year to try and figure out what you're going to do in the new year. Okay. Let's see here. So Kyle says, was inspired by that Miss Excel lady you shared about yesterday. I've always wanted to create a utility account, but struggle to have a focus. Go high level, restaurant marketing tips, any other ideas? Yeah. So Kyle, first of all, Kyle is doing a fantastic job of oh gosh, that reminds me, I didn't put the invite link into the comments. Let me go ahead and put the invite link into the comments, So if anybody wants to join me on camera, you can. I just put it in there. So Kyle is doing a really good job, everybody, of cranking up the the newsletter, the media, things like that in his market. And he's saying, I've always wanted to create a utility account, but struggle to have a focus. So yeah, Kyle. So I have put thought into this as well, because yeah, it is a struggle to try and figure out, okay, what am I going to talk about every day, right? What am I going to create consistently? And is there enough there to talk about, and not have it be entertainment based, right? And that's what I think Kyle means by a utility account. Like it's more like an educational focus rather than, getting on TikTok and dancing for entertainment value. That's not something I'm going to do ever. And so, yeah, I think that Miss Excel is a perfect example, Kyle, because you can see how she's taking something that's, kind of boring, and, having fun with it, and then also creating new content every day. And the thing that I think is important for me when I've thought this through, Kyle, is it's got to be something obviously that you have some passion around, so that you can consistently create that content. And then two, I think it's got to lend itself naturally to something that there's regular reason to provide those updates. So you don't just feel like, okay, I'm just trying to make up something today just because I feel like I have to create another video, right? So the couple of things that I have kind of put it together in my head on this, although I have not really executed it yet, but the concept at least is clear to me now, is to think more like a reporter, right? And so when you look at the news, right, they oftentimes have to, just talk about the same things over and over and over again, but find a little bit of a different angle or a little bit of a different spin to put on it. But also, they are just finding the things out there to report on. They're not creating anything new or unique. They're just finding the things to report on. So as an example, Kyle, let's just say that your passion was, you wanted to build a utility account around social media marketing. Okay. So what you could do is you could literally just you've seen me do this on my Instagram account and on my YouTube shorts, I think, where you could just do announcements of the new things that are happening in social media. Just like every day, the new features that just came out, the new tools that just came out. What are the content trends? What is the data showing? There is so much to talk about every single day, right? A perfect example of this, Kyle, is the stock market, right? Why are there so many people out there that make a fortune talking about the stock market? Well, because the stock market changes constantly throughout the day and people have money tied up in it. And so you can create updates just constantly and people can't get enough of that information. I mean, it's ridiculous. You watch some of the news shows on the market and it's like, the market is currently at its lowest today. It's lowest of the sessions today. And now it's up from its lowest of the session today. And it's like all day long. That's all they're doing is, now it's, tech firms that seem to have pulled it up from its lowest of the session today. And, now it's tech firms that are dragging it down. It's just constant updates around that stuff. You could do that around, I think, any form, sticking kind of with the marketing themes. You could do that with any form of traffic, Kyle. So this could be about how do we get traffic to our offers consistently and stuff. So you could just do experiments and just share your experiments every single day. Hey, today I did a quick split test on, Facebook ads, testing headlines. Let's go ahead and check it out, see how it worked, blah, blah, blah. Today I did a test testing, local traffic with an audience selected versus just leaving it broad. Let's see how that went. Like, because traffic is data that's generated every single day and the ad networks are always changing and people are trying to understand new strategies. I mean, you could do that every single day. Not that you have to do content every single day, but I just think that there's so many opportunities there, man. And, you want to brainstorm, I can absolutely brainstorm. So Rajesh says the future is community building and blockchain is the currency for that community. Very well said, Rajesh. That is absolutely right. That is absolutely how I think about it as well. Bart says, can you talk about work-life balance? Yes, this is one of my favorite topics. So yeah, I think that what's most important here is that you have kind of first of all, a philosophy that drives how you're going to think about this and how you're going to approach this. So that you've created for yourself, that is meaningful for you, and you've decided is right for you. Okay. So what I mean by that is that you can feel an awful lot of pressure from the world to do things in the way that other people say is the right way to do things. You know, turn off your computer at 5 and then you should be 100% with your, family starting at 5. You should always have dinner with your kids every day. Sit down, for dinner with your kids. You should always go on X amount of vacation time and never take your computer with you. Never turn on your phone while you're there. And I learned, thankfully, some years ago, that other people's rules have zero impact on how I think about my life. I could care less what other people's norms and standards are for things. Those are your norms and standards. If you want to live by them, awesome. And good for you. And I hope that they make you feel good and give you the balance that you're looking for and all that, but they have no impact on my life and how I do things. And so when you get to that point, then it's like, okay, well then, Mike, if that's the case, you've got to think about and design, well, what is it that you want? And so literally, Bart, the way that I did this is I did exercises where I said, okay, let's write down what a perfect year would look like. If at the end of this year, I did these things and I accomplished these things and I went to these places and stuff like that, what would a perfect year for Mike look like? And then I worked that down to what would a perfect month look like, and what would a perfect week look like, and then what would a perfect day look like. And I just kind of wrote those things out. Just that's the way that I did it. I'm not saying that you have to write it out or whatever, but that was the exercise that I did that was helpful for me, where I like tried to just visualize in my head, okay, for you, Mike, what would an ideal week look like? Forget what everybody else says about how you have to do things. What would that look like to you? And so I drafted that out and tried to get as crystal clear as I could on it. And it's always a work in progress, but I've gotten pretty dang good at it at this point. So that, reverse engineering, that's right, Bart. So that, I had clarity about what are the things that are really important to me. And I don't think about it. I know not to get hung up on words, but I don't think about it as work-life balance. I think of it as work-life integration. And the difference to me, again, not to get too hung up on the words or anything, but to me, balance implies that I can have more of one thing and less of another, right? That's what, balance kind of scales, right? So at some point or another, I'm making this, trade-off between these things. And if I want more of that one, I have to have less of this one. I don't think about it like that at all. And I don't think about when I'm supposed to work almost at all. Like I really don't care if my work gets done, at 10 o'clock at night or 8 o'clock in the morning, because again, I've done everything I can to separate my time from my value delivery other than calls like this. So, if I want to take my kids to do something from 10 o'clock to 4 o'clock on Tuesday, then I will, and I'll work that night or whatever, So that's the way that I've chosen I want my life to be. And I am very, very careful to then, Bart, and I think that this is really important, to then only sign up for things that will fit into my model and say no to the rest, and do everything I can to protect that, to create, the kind of rules and structures and stuff like that to protect that. So, just as a simple example, I love the heck out of my customers. I love you guys. There's nothing more fun to me than having these conversations and talking entrepreneurship and all that type of stuff. But anybody who's been a customer of mine knows that there are rules of engagement as to how you will get a response from me and how you'll get my time. And if you don't follow those rules of engagement, I will tell you, hey, look, you're bothering me. And I'm not going to, respond to you when you're, if you're emailing me directly personally or messaging me directly personally on Facebook, when that's something that you could put in a Facebook group and maybe other people will answer it for you. Or when I answer it, it will have the benefit of leverage to be able to have a bunch of other people read that answer so that now those people don't have to message me directly. Like, if you're not willing to play within those rules to help me maintain this life that I want, then I'm like, this isn't going to work. Our relationship isn't going to work, right? So that's the way I approach it, Bart. I think there's a couple of things too. I think one is not being critical of yourself. Like, don't judge yourself too harshly on this. Like, nobody gets this just right. Nobody can say I did all the things exactly for my kids the way I thought I should, and all the, whatever. Like, so, do your damn best. Try and live by your philosophy and do your best every day. Don't be too critical when it feels like it's a little bit out of sorts. And then I think the other last piece of advice I would give on this is incorporate your people that are important to you as much as you can in this structure, and be clear to them, hey, this is why I do it this way, and all that stuff. Like, as an example, my kids, okay? My kids, unfortunately, I say unfortunately because it's irritating to me, is that they are in a typical school structure, right? So they're going to school, 7:45 in the morning, and they're there until 3 in the afternoon, and it's Monday through Friday. That it drives me crazy, honestly, right? But it's not just my opinion on what kind of school program they should be in and all that good stuff. They have a mother. What do you know? And there's also our government, which says that kids need to follow certain programs, pass certain tests by certain times, all that type of stuff. And I understand why all that stuff is there. But if it were up to me, I would have them learning in a different way, in a much more flexible environment. And so right now I have to adjust some things around their schedule, and it really does. It drives me crazy. I mean, as an example, I want to just take them for a month right now, and let's just go live in Europe, and we will learn while you're there about Europe and European history and how's that impact the world and all that good stuff. But it's just not real for me to be able to do that with them right now. So I do, though, incorporate them as much as humanly possible in understanding, hey guys, here's what your dad values in terms of his time, in terms of who he's going to be around, why he's going to be around them, how he's structured his business to support all this, so that they understand it and that they can, get on the same page as much as possible with it. So I think if you're married, right, or you want to be married, communication around all of this is absolutely critical. I am divorced, so I can say that I learned that lesson pretty clearly. A significant part of the reason why I'm divorced is because, I think the expectations that I have of how I'm going to live as an entrepreneur don't necessarily fit for everyone. I'm not saying those are the only reasons we got a divorce, but my ex-wife and I, let me just say this real quick. We had a very, very, very amicable divorce, and she lives 2.5 blocks from me now. Talk to her every day, see her all the time, kids walking back and forth between our places. So it wasn't like some, ugly explosion. It was more of a, hey, we realize we may want to be on different paths here for the rest of our lives. And so let's be mature adults about this and do it the right way. So I could have learned that lesson a long time ago and communicated about it more effectively when I was younger, in the earlier days of my marriage, for sure. I wish I would have had the benefit of, some more maturity there and understanding that. But, incorporating the other people in your life to get this right is very, very important. Okay. I hope that helps. I know man, you guys are bringing up topics here today that I'm very enthusiastic about. And so I'm yakking. Let's see here. Eric, I see you on board here. Do you want to come on camera and do a little chatting? Awesome. All right. Let me remove Bart's comment here and we're going to add you in here. Hi, Eric.
Mike, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing excellent, man. You are my top 5
online
people. I'm serious about that. And it's a no like and trust. It's a no like and trust factor for me.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. And I appreciate you being vulnerable. So you kind of touched me a little bit because I'm divorced as well as of 19 and after 25 years of marriage. So and it was hard, man. It was hard. As a matter of fact, I was doing fairly decent, I guess I would say, in my business, and I just tanked, man. I just didn't have any drive, any ambition of anything, man. But I'm trying to get myself back acclimated and I stepped back in corporate for a minute to kind of solidify that. But anyway, I know people don't want to know my story, but I had 2 questions.
While we're doing these calls.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you doing this. One thing I love is that you're approachable. Now you don't want people coming to you with a bunch of shenanigans. I totally understand it, but you are an approachable person. I also get that. You can answer this in any order. So one is what are your next 3 moves going into 2020, business wise? What are your next 3 moves?
Man, that's awesome. That's a great question. And you're asking for me specifically? Like,
yeah. Well, obviously, I want to be a fly on the wall and glean information from you. But what do you see out there? Where do you see maybe pivoting or adding addition to what you're currently doing? I'll shut up.
Awesome. So I think, Eric, maybe this will help you specific to your situation too. I hope it will, because just to share a little bit more around, the divorce, even though it was very amicable and all that stuff, I went through a very hard time where I felt like a failure. And I have not felt like a failure very much in my life. And it was very, very hard on me. And I got to a dark place that I have never gotten to before in my life, and had to pull myself up by the bootstraps. And everything struggled. Everything suffered because of it. My relationships with other people, my business, everything, my finances, everything suffered, because when you're an entrepreneur or when you're a father or you're a leader of any organization, whatever it is, up here is the thing. It is the driver of everything. Right? How you look at the world today and the perspective and the energy that you are able to bring or not bring because of the way that you're looking at the world, that's everything. That's everything for a leader, and not to be sexist, but for a man, I think for a man to feel good about themselves and really feel like I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, there's gotta be some sense of like, I'm on offense. I'm going for it in this world. Right. And I lost that for a period of time because I was just beating myself up so much. And so I have had to pull myself back up. And I'm in a far different situation today than I was 4 years ago in every way, psychologically, physically, financially, the business I've created, relationships with friends, with kids, all that. I mean, everything. And so you will get there. I promise you, Eric. And I know you didn't come here for
I appreciate it.
But entrepreneurship is psychology. It is psychology. If you're going to be an entrepreneur building something from the ground up, psychology is everything. It is. So I have built myself back up to a point here, Eric, where I've been on offense for the last few years, but I had to do a lot of digging. I had to kind of, dig some ditches and just get some things back in order and all that stuff. And so I'm now back in a position where it's like, okay, now I really want to press for growth. I want to go. I have a clear vision that I've been working on getting clarity on for the last couple of years. that I'm obsessed with that vision, and I want to go full steam ahead now. And so for me, then that boils down to a handful of key themes. Okay. So one is I've got to get more attention. I've been a little bit, to some degree, it may not seem like it to the people who know me or whatever, but I've been a little bit kind of hiding out, and I want to start going for much more aggressive growth. So that means I've got to invest in more traffic. That means I've got to put out more offers that can serve as front end offers for the community that I want to build. So I've got to invest in those things pretty aggressively. Okay. Two is I want to go, and these are major themes of how I think everybody should be thinking about business, period. How am I getting more attention? How am I then building community with the people that are giving me that attention? Okay. So things like office hours calls, the reasons, from a business perspective, the reason why I do this is it creates community. It creates the ability to have a relationship with you, Eric, and, and talk to you like this. And so I want that. And I know the importance of that for me. I know the importance of that for my audience of entrepreneurs who need community. And so I am looking for ways to deepen that community and those community connections. And I'm going to do that online through stuff like this. And I hope better management of, maybe instead of Facebook groups, other platforms where we can better manage, conversations and stuff. And then I'm also looking at how do we get back in real world contact with people, events, meeting people in person, doing dinners, doing parties, things like that are a major focus for me here in this next year. And then I have a couple opportunities that I'm not going to speak about in detail, but they are expanding what I currently do and do best to allow me to capitalize on it, even more. And I know that's a little bit vague, but I'm just the current things that I've already put in place that I can leverage those further. And then the last thing that I would say is my vision of where I want to go with all of this very much incorporates Web 3.0, blockchain, all of that. I don't have 100% grip on it yet because it's moving so fast. I'm still trying to fully understand how I'll execute with it. But that I believe that I'm going to be investing in those areas, both investing literally as in financially, but also investing as in the way that I'm going to go with my business and just time and effort and stuff like that, trying to incorporate those things into my business here going forward. So those are my big areas of focus here going into the next year. And I guess just to add one more thing to that is as part of clarity for my vision, and this might help some of you as well, who sometimes maybe you feel pulled in different directions. As part of the clarity for my vision, I absolutely believe that I and everybody who has any desire or initiative to do it should be building a business that is leveraging all of those things that I already talked about earlier in the call and gives you independence, freedom to be where you want, to work where you want, to work when you want, and to work with whomever you want, and not work with the people that you don't want to work with. I think it's critical that we are thinking that way and building that way. I want to be able to be a global entrepreneur. I want to be able to pack myself up, pack my family up, and be in Barcelona tomorrow and not miss a beat, and be in wherever else the next day and not miss a beat. And so I am strategically designing everything that I'm doing, business-wise, financially, everything, to be able to do that. And then at the same time, I know that I love to feel really connected to the community that I'm living in. and so right now I'm living in San Diego, and my kids are in San Diego. My kids are going to school in San Diego, and so I am going to push on their San Diego much more here in the next year, because I want to really deepen my connection with the community where I live today as well. So even though I'm building something that gives me the ability to pull up from here and not be here at all potentially, while I'm here, I want to push like crazy and really try and be a part of where I'm at. So I'm going to be going in both directions, one very global, one hyper local. And I've just decided that's what I want. That's what I need. And so that's what I'm going for, even though they may feel contradictory.
Sure. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Mike. I appreciate you.
You bet.
Give me some information. It gave me some additional ways for clarity for myself. So I appreciate you. Yeah.
Awesome. I thank you for coming on here. Thank you for being a part of the community, and please come back to these calls and keep me posted. Okay.
I will. Thank you, Mike.
Awesome. Thank you, Eric.
Okay. Bye now.
Kyle, you ready? Awesome. My man, how you doing?
Good, man. How are you doing?
I'm great. Thank you. How can I help?
Yeah, so I have a couple thoughts on my noggin here. One is I'm wondering if you'd be open to like just there's an early piece of content. I thought it might be helpful for other people to see, because I'm like early on in this, so I call it Victoria Beat, which is my media thing.
Yeah.
And I thought it might be helpful for others to see, like, it's literally the first piece of content I've created.
I love it.
And so I thought I'd see if you're open to just like having a skim and just kind of being like, oh, this sucks, or maybe like think about this. Or
let's do it. Yeah.
Okay. How do we do that?
You can either, let's see here. Can you share? Let me see.
Oh, I can.
Okay, cool. Then
wait.
for it.
Okay, I can. Oh, neat. Ooh. Okay. All right. Can you see it?
Yep. Here we go.
Okay. So, this is it here. So yeah, I'm just kind of like working on through the content piece. I'm kind of just mapping it out. Most of these are like nothing. But then this one is kind of the one that's furthest along. And yeah, it's just like, 7 can't miss cocktail spots in Victoria. So should I just kind of scroll down, so to speak?
Yep.
Okay.
Jumbo Restaurant and Bar. Yep. Got Instagram incorporated in there.
Yep.
Cool.
Blah, blah, blah. And then I have each spot's little place here. You can click it or whatever.
Yep.
Blah, blah, blah.
I love it.
Photos. Yeah. So like, I mean.
Yeah. No, this is awesome.
Okay.
I love it. I think this is a great example of content that in a local market will do really, really well. One of the things not to overlook for anybody looking at creating content like this is the headline. The headline is so stinking important in getting people to come to your content. Studying BuzzFeed is one of the best things that you'll ever do, because those guys are just so good at, headlines and split testing headlines and all that good stuff. And Kyle has some super important aspects to this headline that work. So I can tell you right now, lists work like crazy. So incorporating a number indicating that this is a numbered list is one of the easiest, most guaranteed ways to get good traffic to a post. So the fact that he's put a good old, number 7 in front of it is a great bump to help make this piece of content work. And then can't miss, of course, is just, it's just some simple language, but it creates this sense of kind of, exclusivity, or something that I want to be a part of that I'm not sure, if I'm a part of right now, and that type of thing. It's I want to be in the know. And then cocktails with the right audience, cocktails are one of the top handful of topics that will, just get traction in the marketplace. People who love restaurants, who love going out to eat, love going out to drink and stuff like that. They are always interested in that kind of content. So Yeah, I think that that's awesome, man. I love in the content itself, you've got good, clear, headlines for each place. You've got the Instagram posts. You've got good images, all that good stuff. It's a solid post that'll work great.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you. Yeah. For the headlines, I just go to Facebook ad library and I look up like Eater, and I literally just
Yeah, exactly.
Headlines.
Eater, Infatuation, BuzzFeed, any of those are all great. Yep.
Okay. Awesome. And then one real quick one, if that's okay. So I like this whole local media thing. I find it weird how there's like every city has local media, but there isn't like, it's sort of meta, but there isn't media on local media. Like you can't find a podcast about like how to really like make a great. You're literally the only person I can think of who helps people sort of make a great local media company. And so do you see that as an opportunity at all, or do you have any thoughts on that?
I definitely think it's an opportunity. Yeah, I mean, there is an opportunity to take kind of a leadership position in the space, no question. There are companies out there on the local media space, and I can dig up a handful of them to share with you, Kyle. Okay. But I will say that there is an opportunity, and the reason why I say that is that so the local media industry is defined itself for decades and decades and decades in a different way than you and I define it, right? It was print. It was print newspapers and radio stations, right? That was local media, and news, television news, and so almost everybody that was producing any sort of content around the local media space, that's 100% their focus, is those things. Well, those things have gone through a very difficult couple of decades here, right? So a lot of the buzz around it, a lot of the spending around it, all that type of stuff just went in the toilet. It was kind of doom and gloom. So it's like, okay, what are we going to keep on writing about and holding conferences about when all we're talking about is everybody getting laid off and and all that type of thing, right? So because those businesses have gone through massive restructuring. So what has happened though, attention is still going someplace, right? Mm-hmm. It's just the economic models and how you get that attention and what you do with that attention have changed rapidly. And so the new models of attention in the local marketplace are different, and they're still getting figured out. And the models around it are still getting figured out. It's early days. So there's absolutely opportunity to create a different narrative there and to kind of lead that narrative. And right now, like I said, I can share with you a handful of resources that I just can't think of off the top of my head, their names. That there's some, there's some helpful resources out there I found. I still feel like there's an opportunity to take the lead though.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks very much.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Keep up the good work. I love what you're doing.
All right. Thanks.
Yep. Let's see here. Rajesh, I'll bring you on here in 1 second if you're up for it. I'm just going to answer this other media related question real quick. Do media websites work for smaller markets, say a population of 25,000, but growing rapidly? Well, so Dale, it depends on how you define work. Do they work? There's no question that you can make a media property in that market that will get you attention, that will put you at the center of the community, that will allow you to drive that attention to the things that are valuable to you. If you want to drive it to your real estate business, if you want to drive it to, sell advertising for somebody else's business, there's no question. There's also no question that at 25,000 people, your opportunities are going to be more limited than if you're doing it in a market of 2.5 million people. I mean, it's just math, right? So do I think, though, that if you are in a community of 25,000 people and you're doing anything in that community, do I think that it still makes sense to build your media property in that community? Absolutely. I don't care if it's 10,000, 25,000, whatever it is. If it's got a thousands after it, I think it would be great to own the media property that people are giving their attention to in that community. I mean, if you live and work in that community, absolutely. Now, if you were looking at it purely from a business perspective, as in more like a publisher and an investor. So I don't live in Palm Springs, but maybe I'm going to launch, my next media property in Palm Springs. I don't live in Orange County, but maybe I'm going to launch my next one in Orange County. As purely, an outside publisher and investor like that, of course, I'm going to look for a strategy that I feel like I can win with. That may be going into bigger markets with bigger numbers, but it may be more like a Walmart approach, right? Walmart, the way that they won was by going into very, very small towns that were underserved. And so I might actually say, hey, you know what? There's all these smaller communities of 50,000 or less that none of these big publishers are paying attention to. So I'm going to design my model that I can go into a bunch of these 50,000, 25,000, markets and be like super efficient with my content, produce content that I could share across all of those markets efficiently so that my costs are not as high as maybe other people would think, and then sell advertising that reaches all of those markets. So if you just got to be strategic about it and understand how you define work, how you define a win. Okay. I hope that helps you though. Ethan says, Dale, I'm in a small market, roughly 35,000. Strategy is to build it, learn from it, and potentially launch other media properties in larger markets following the same model. Awesome. Love it. All right, Rajesh, you want to come on board? How are you doing?
Doing good. How are you?
Good. How can I help you?
I'm going to pull you back to the same topic previously we had a discussion about.
Okay.
I think I'm also in I just completed my down phase, I guess. I want to build things up and I want to get things going from my perspective. I know that we have had lengthy discussions about going for it, and part of me coming out of my state of thinking was basically those discussions. And I just want to ask you, what were the things, what did you do in order to get yourself out of the ruckus?
Yeah, get myself out of the funk and kind of the spiral I was in and all that good stuff. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, Rajesh, thanks for coming in and coming on here and asking the question and being vulnerable and being willing to talk about it. Because I know, look, one of the reasons why I so value building the community of the people that are working with me, the young early stage entrepreneurs, right? I know the mental, emotional, financial toll that it can take on people. It can be very, very difficult, and it can be very, very lonely when you are making decisions to go for it. Maybe your significant other thinks you're crazy. Maybe your family thinks you're crazy. Why don't you just go get a damn good job? You can just go get a salary and get paid. You just did what on that credit card? Man, I have been through all of that. I have experienced all of it. I have worked my way through some of the ugliest situations that you ever want to work your way through. It is all part of the game. It is all part of the game. I think one of the very best things that happened to me, and this is going to sound ridiculous, I think that one of the very best things that happened to me was about 1 year into, not even 1 year into starting my first business. I got sued. And I got all of my money stolen from me from my business partners. So that doesn't sound like good things.
Stolen by your business partners?
Yeah, my business partners emptied the bank account, stole all the money that we had worked building up in this company. And I personally did not have 2 nickels to rub together, and I was about to get married. And so I literally did not have a penny to my name, and I was getting sued, which scared the living shit out of me. I had never been in a situation like that before. I never imagined being in a situation like that before. The people who were suing me were aggressive and rich and were dragging me through courts and lawyers and all that type of stuff, for something that it turns out was completely not fair. Not fair as in they were never going to win the lawsuit, but they didn't care. They had money and they had power, and so they were hitting me with it. And
They just
and then
wanted to
the
mess
case
with
got-
you. That's it.
What's that?
They just wanted to mess with you.
Yeah, they just wanted to mess with me. And then the case got tossed out because it had no merit. But the reason why I say that those things were the best thing that happened to me is because I made a decision. I made it. It was so clear to me when I was in that. I was like, Mike, I was like, either you're going to be an entrepreneur or you're not. And if you are going to be an entrepreneur, then you have to accept that this is the shit that you're going to have to put up with, and you are just going to see it through. And I decided that I would only make that decision once, because I knew that if I were to always question that decision and continue to readdress that decision, that it would be a nightmare psychologically. I would always be like, oh, well, I could just go get a job and I could get out of all this, or I could, whatever. So I made the decision that I was going to be an entrepreneur. And if you're going to be an entrepreneur, you have to put up with getting sued. You have to put up with people trying to steal from you. You just do. It's just part of business in today's world. It sucks, but it is. And so I made that decision, and I did not question it, and I have never questioned it since. And that has given me peace of mind to just go forward all the time. I'm just going forward. I'm not looking back. I'm just constantly, what's next, what's next, what's next, go, go, go. The great thing about that decision, Rajesh, is that when I would go out and tell other entrepreneurs that I admired, so I was in Silicon Valley at the time, and there was these other entrepreneurs that I knew that I was doing work for, they were my customers and stuff. And I felt like I had enough of a relationship with them that they would say, hey, Mike, how's it going? And I'd be like, it's not going real well. I got to be honest with you. Like this sucks. And what was so cool, Rajesh, and to anybody else listening, is that without fail, every single one of those successful entrepreneurs that I admired were like, dude, hang in there. You're doing the right thing. Let me tell you a story about how I got my ass sued and my business partner took all my money and my, yada, yada. They all had these stories. They all had these experiences, and they all believed in me that, dude, you're doing the right thing. You just got to stick it through. Don't beat yourself up. Just go, go, go. Do your very best. You may declare bankruptcy, Mike. You may have to, whatever. Just keep going. Every single one of them had these stories. Several of them were like, hey, Mike, I had to declare bankruptcy. I did it. Like it sucked. I did everything I could not to do it, but then I just had to do it. And then I got right back to work the very next day, and it was just like, and I went. Every single person I admired had these stories. When you go and you talk to normal people, they'll all think you're crazy, because normal people are not signing up for this shit. They're not. They don't see the world the same way that you do it. They don't see risks the same way that you do. And so they will tell you you're crazy. So first things first, Rajesh, is you got to make sure that you're surrounding yourself as much as you possibly can with the people that have done the things that you admire, and listen to them and listen to their stories and listen to their advice, because they're not going to tell you you're crazy. They're going to tell you, yeah, you're doing the right thing. Just keep on going. It sucks, and there's going to be some very low lows, but there's going to be amazing high highs, and you just got to see it through. Okay. So that's one thing, is you've got to get that right in your mind, and you got to make that decision as to, hey, I'm doing this and I'm going forward, or I'm not. Okay. And only you can make that decision. And I also want to tell you, there is no right or wrong here.
when the normal people you're talking about is the
Yeah.
family,
Yeah,
then
it's very difficult.
shit is going to get
Yeah,
crazy.
it's
Yeah.
very difficult. It's very
The,
difficult.
the
And
f-
Rajesh,
wife is supportive, but the
but
rest of
not the
them,
rest.
no.
Yeah. And Rajesh, like I know from I have just enough experience to know that culturally you probably are living with some different pressures around some of these topics.
Usually what happens is we usually stay with the parents, so we are in the same household.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah. So
yeah.
yeah, I get it, man. Like I said, that's why I say there's no right or wrong answers here. There's right or wrong for you, and being able to make a decision that you're good with, and that can be very hard, and there can be a lot of pressure around that, and so I don't make light of that, and I don't envy that, and so to continue on though with trying to answer your question, okay? How do you get from, okay, Mike, maybe I've made that decision and I'm down here. How the heck do I get back up here? Okay. I think that recognizing, or that we've talked about several times in this conversation, that your psychology is the most important thing, is the thing that is going to lead the way for you. You've got to do everything that you possibly can to nurture that every single day. Every single day, whatever that is for you, to make sure that you can put yourself in the state every single day of going for my goals, going for it every day, aggressively going for my goals, because in order to get from down here to get up there, you're going to have to create momentum. So that means you got to go towards your goals. That means psychologically, you have to be ready to do that. Whatever you have to do to nurture that in your mind, do it. That should be like your most important job. You got to eat right. You got to exercise. You got to get enough sleep. You've got to tune out voices that are telling you that, hey, it's not going to work, and, just go get a damn job and all that type of stuff. You've got to take care of that psychology. It is so critical, because otherwise you're going to be doing this all day, every day, during the day. You're never going to put yourself on the path to just do this, right? For me personally, Tony Robbins has been the best thing by far in understanding how to manage my psychology and how to understand managing my physical state to drive my psychology. If I were to recommend any one resource and person to turn to for this topic, it's him. He's had an incredible impact on me in understanding this stuff. But I think that's job number one. Job number two is then you've got to be disciplined as hell, my man. Like, you have got to go, hey, these are the activities that are going to get me from here to there. I am going to spend every waking minute doing as much of those activities as I possibly can until I've climbed my way out of this. Okay. And if it's cold calling, cold emailing, door knocking, producing a YouTube video, I don't care what it is, whatever activity is going to lead the way, you have got to be disciplined as all heck about getting up and maximizing every minute of every single day to get there. Okay. And then the last thing I would say on this, again, because there is no right or wrong, and patience is so stinking important, actually. And I would say that, going back to balance that we talked about earlier, living with these opposing forces, because I think this is really important. You've got to have day-to-day urgency like crazy. Like I just talked about, it's like you should wake up and hit the ground running and keep running until you fall into your bed dead every night. But at the same time, have the patience to understand that 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years is really not that long a time. To build the thing of your dreams, that's not really that long of a time. Okay, 4 years ago, I had to rebuild. I had to do all of this over again. And I had to keep my vision in mind. Okay. And now I'm never all the way there, but I'm in a totally different place. Okay. And it's because every single day I just got up and did the work. But 4 years, when I was younger, 4 years sounded like an eternity to me. Now I'm older and it's kind of funny because I don't have as long of a life left to live, but 4 years to me, I'm just like, I can do anything for 4 years to get to where I want to go, right? Like that's nothing. So having those opposing urgency on a day-to-day basis, but the patience to do whatever you need to do, Rajesh, to see it through. If that means that for 20 hours out of the week, you have to do something that you don't want to do to get income, to put food on the table, to pay the bills, so that the other 50 hours of the week, you can be working on your thing, do it. It may not be your dream today. That may not be ideal today, but when you know that you're doing it to achieve your dream, to achieve that bigger thing, have that patience and be willing to do it. You know, it's not going to be perfect today. You got to work to perfect, and you gotta practice those opposing, urgency today with, hey, I've got to have some patience to get to where I'm going, and I'll do whatever it takes to get there. And if that means I'm gonna, wait tables and bartend and drive Uber or whatever the heck I've got to do so that I can keep the other thing going, do it. Do it. I hope that helps you, man. I hope that helps you. Like I said, I know you got some pressures on you and stuff that are they're different than the pressures that I've had to face. I've had to deal with pressures of, like I mentioned before, a significant other where we weren't completely in alignment. That's a hard thing to deal with. Pressures of being, I've been up to my eyeballs in debt, man. I have been up to my eyeballs in debt. Like you can't believe, like,
except the divorce, I could relate to every other thing which you said. Everything.
Yeah.
I've been through everything. About last week or so, I was like, okay, fuck it. I'm not going to think more about it. And I just saw that my kid needs me, my family needs me.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, this is not going to work like this. And then I started moving out, interacting with. I basically shut out into a corner where I would not talk to any of my friends, relatives, or anybody. Would not even find it interesting vaguely to even socialize.
Mm-hmm.
So it was completely this thing. I was like, okay, I'm not going to do that anymore, and it's like forcefully moving out and trying to get things running, and then doing the things which are need to be done, as you said, hard love, tough love, which you said,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I think I will try to get it, but yeah, definitely having you as my mentor is going to help me out. Yeah, thanks.
Good.
All right, then.
I hope so, Rajesh. Let me finish this off because this is really, really important to say here. Okay. I can't finish this conversation and have everybody listen to this and this be up on video without me putting this last bit in there. Okay. There's a lot of people out there right now. Being an entrepreneur is sexy right now. It's a whole thing. It's a whole culture. It's an Instagram movement. It's all of that shit. Okay. If you are putting yourself at risk, putting your family at risk, doing all that type of stuff, and you are not getting up every day and working your fucking ass off, that's on you. Hold yourself accountable. Okay? And this is not just to Rajesh, this is to everybody out there. Be a man, be a woman, step up and either acknowledge, hey, I'm making these sacrifices because I am going for it. And anybody that doesn't support that, I have to tune out because I am going for it. I'm getting up every damn day. I'm making the cold calls. I'm hitting the emails. I'm networking. I'm doing it. Okay. Then great. I'm in your corner. I love you. I support you. I want to do everything I can to help you be successful. And I know everybody else in a community of entrepreneurs feels the same way. But man, guys, if you are playing entrepreneur and you bought into any sort of glitz and glamour, and I'm not saying this to you, Rajesh, I want to make that very clear. I'm saying this because it needs to be said. Everybody needs to hear it. If you are putting yourself or anybody else that you care about in those positions and you're not getting up every day and getting after it, go get a job. Go get a job. There is nothing wrong with getting a job, and it is much better to go get a job and not put yourself and other people in that position. And then hopefully one day you can come back to it and get after it, and get after it the right way, which is to work your tail off every single day. Okay, that has to be said. Like if we're not doing that and we're taking these risks and we're putting anybody in these positions and we're, you know, putting our future at risk, our financials at risk, any of that type of stuff, and you're not putting in the freaking work every day, don't be crazy. Why would we do that? Don't take those risks. Don't do that to yourself. Don't do that to others. Okay, hold yourself accountable to follow up and demonstrate with your actions that you mean what you say. Okay, that has to be said. That is so stinking important. Okay, because it's hard freaking work. It is. It's hard work, and it should be hard work. You're trying to do something badass. You're trying to literally build something that will change your future for you, for your family, for, you know, whoever you want it to change. Like, that's, you gotta put in the work. Okay. I have a friend that I made a movie with, a real Hollywood movie. It's on Netflix. It's one of my things that I'm really proud of doing, because that whole work-life integration and balance thing is a dream that I always want to do. I have never seen a guy work so stinking hard, because he was an MBA, had a great degree from a very top school, had a really good job, all that type of stuff, decided he wanted to be a Hollywood writer and director, moved his whole family out from Boston to Santa Monica and said, I'm going to make a stinking movie. And that guy would get up at 0 in the morning and start cold calling every single day, all day, anybody that had any ability to give him money, to give him support, to use connections for him to get this movie made. I'm talking 10 hours a day of doing nothing but sitting in his bedroom with a dialer and just going all day, every single day. And I'm talking about for years, this guy did this. And then at night, he would be working on his script and all that type of stuff. He literally did this for years. I have never seen anybody so obsessed in my life and then translate it into work. I was so impressed by him and the way that he did that. And then when we got the money together to actually make the movie, I literally thought the guy was going to die. He was working so hard. He wouldn't sleep more than like 3 hours a night. And I was worried about him. I was like, dude, you are not going to make it through making this movie. Like, you've got to get some rest. And he was so obsessed with just doing it that, you know, he created all of this risk, you know, but he worked his tail off to mitigate the risk and make his vision of that come true. And I so admire it and I so respect it. And we've all got to get ourselves to that place to be able to do that, to be able to take all of our energy, all of our passion, everything, and turn it into work every single day. So I hope that helps, man. I hope it helps anybody else who's listening to this as well. Like I said, I'm rooting for you.
I'm going to clip this for myself and then play it on, right?
Awesome.
If
I
you're
love
okay.
it. I love it.
Thanks.
Thank you, Rajesh.
Thanks. Bye.
Glenn, are you ready to come on board? What's up, my man?
Good. You hear me? I'm not Memorex. I'm live.
No, you're live. I got you.
Good deal. Good talk. I wanted to jump in
Thank you.
on this whole mindset theme that you're on kind of right now, right?
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to make it about me. I just think if this maybe helps some people in the process. So just so a little quick background, I'm 62, right? I've been selling most of my whole life, had pretty decent jobs, made a decent living until the bottom fell out. And I tried to reinvent myself, went into this crazy business that we're in, didn't know what I was doing, didn't have focus, but knew there were things that had to be done that I could sell, and I kind of floated along and failed forward, as we go. And it wasn't until then COVID killed me with all my old customers. I had retail customers, restaurant, that stuff, which is a whole nother thing. But this year I was about to lose the house just because we couldn't make payments during COVID. And when we came out of COVID, basically just August, September, and we were able to get like a deferment of payments to the back, just able to save. And this is the second time I almost lost the house. So I think like what you're saying is so true that, you take risk, you do all this stuff. And I think the challenge is this, at least for me, it seems to have come down to the fact that you just got to be committed and you got to take action. You can learn and read and do all the stuff that you need to do, and you need that background and you need to understand what's going on. But at the end of the day, you just got to jump in, because that's the way you're really going to learn what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong.
Yeah.
And I want to say, so here I am this year rebuilding completely again, change the vertical, trying to adapt, go high level into a market that it's not really a great fit for me anyway. But I see the writing on the wall, and what's happened is I eventually, partially with you and partially just failing forward and all the pieces that came about, I finally have clarity on really where I'm going or what I'm trying to accomplish.
That's awesome.
And it hasn't been till that where things started to happen. And that's only a couple of months we're talking about here. Till things really started to happen. So the quick story I'm going to add, and then I'm going to jump because I got something I got to do. But last week I left a saying that I thought was a good one. Do the things you fear the most, and the death of fear is certain. Right. So the stuff that really makes you, oh my God, can I do? You just do it, because it's like when you jump in the pool and then you start to swim and you paddle, you go, oh shit, I can swim, I can do it. You just got to do it, right? And the other quick lesson is Harrison Ford. I don't know if anybody knows. I'm an old guy, so I can share this.
I love Harrison Ford.
Yeah, right. So Harrison Ford was a contract actor. I think it was Paramount or whoever it was. That's not the point. The point is, he was later in life when he kind of got famous, and they were interviewing him. They said to him, so what is it? Like, what was the key to you finally breaking through and doing this? He goes, well, when I was much younger, I would get these casting calls. I'd get on the bus. I'd go out to these places to do these casting calls and read for a producer or whatever it was. And I'd see people on the bus. And every day when I got on the bus again, I'd see a lot of the same people. But over time, those same people weren't on the bus anymore. And anyway, fast forward. So he goes, so, what's the moral of the story is, well, the bottom line is they just gave up. And I didn't give up, right? I just kept getting on the bus is basically the moral of the story.
Yeah.
Right. So, that's part of all this stuff, all the stuff you talked about that you went through personally. Again, I almost lost my house twice. I was fit. I got laid off out of a software job at 50 years old. Couldn't get hired. The recession in 2009. I mean, it's been a really difficult road, and it's still difficult. That piece hasn't changed. It's just that I know what I have to do.
Yeah.
That's changed. That's what's changed at it. But again, I'm going to run, but to everybody and Mike, to you, because you're part of the change that occurred for me anyway, personally. And whoever it was that made the comment to you, I agree with 100%. You're approachable, people you trust, you like. You've been a huge inspiration, and the reality that you've been through it and you understand it, because what the other comment you made about normal people, they have no clue of what we do, right?
Yeah.
And then the work-life balance, just to jump on that for a second. So I think I'm a musician, I'm a guitar player. My professionally was a salesperson most of my life. So I've always walked in two worlds. Like, I walk in the world of the artists who don't give a crap and don't watch clocks and they're late all the time, and then I walk in the world of business where you need to be on time and do certain things, and that's a really tough balancing act in amongst itself, right? Trying to do that, but I always knew, and you, again, thing you said about the kind of life you wanted to have, and and I think, if you feel that and you go that's what drives you, and you just do the things that you have to do, even if you're changing hats, constantly, because you have to deal with the things you have to deal with, family and
Mhm.
work and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, the bottom line is, I think, just to you and to everybody out there who's sharing stories and all that stuff, yes, most of us have gone through crap. Most of us do. Usually we survive it. You get bloody, you get beat up, you get a little stronger, you come out maybe a better person at the end of the day. Sometimes you come out with bruises, and that's life too.
Yep.
But, you know, do it. And the other thing is, I think I want to say that, and again, something that you said also is that, like, this whole, like, looking for the guru shiny object thing, like, you know what? That's not real. It's not really. It's not going to happen. Could you get an idea? Could somebody influence you to do something that you might not have thought about doing it? Sure, but you really have to have it from inside, and then
Yeah.
you have to nurture it and believe in it, and then figure out along the way what are the right steps, and make the mistakes, because you're
Yeah.
not going to avoid the mistakes. It's part of life. So anyway, just on this topic, I just wanted to add
Yeah.
some unicorn crap there.
I appreciate it, Glenn. Thank
Sure
you.
thing. Thank you,
Yeah,
guys, and happy
absolutely.
Thanksgiving to everybody, and we'll
Yeah.
see you before Christmas. Anyway, I
Yeah.
gotta jump.
Sounds
I
good.
gotta go to work now. So I'll see you.
Yeah, thank you, Glenn. Thank you for being a part of the community and sharing your stories. And yeah, I think, look, guys, this stuff is so important. We'll wrap it up here. I know we've been going for a long time. I want to share with you guys all a video. So my most recent video on YouTube, I just put the link in there and you can check it out. But it was about, the psychology of me learning how to sell more effectively. But it's really about the psychology of learning to deal with discomfort. And I share in that video just a little anecdote, a little story about my personal experience as to how I started to train myself to be more comfortable with discomfort. And there's just the lesson that I share specifically is about selling, but it is about everything. It really is, right? And all of the psychology is just so important. I cannot stress enough that the most important thing that you will do as an entrepreneur is to nurture the right frame of mind and how you translate that into action. It just absolutely is the most important thing. Surround yourself with people that you see doing that and have done that and will give you the right feedback. Like I said, I'm a huge Tony Robbins fan. I cannot stress enough that I think that he understands human beings and human behavior and our minds and stuff, as well as just about anybody from a practical perspective. I was also going to share, going back to that work-life balance thing, because I can't believe I didn't say this, which is that you should be, ideally, you should do something for your business that you really care about. Okay, I am so lucky, you guys. So lucky that I gave myself the permission years ago to believe in myself and to pursue the things that I find interesting, even if maybe somebody else doesn't see the vision in it, doesn't believe in it, whatever it is. I do something that I love every single day, all day. I really do. I love what I do. I love being an entrepreneur. I love creating There San Diego. I love creating content for you guys. I love creating courses and marketing funnels. I love what I do all day, every day. I love getting on these calls. So when we talk about work-life balance, there is no balance for me. I could do this all day, every day. And I want my kids involved in it, and I want my friends involved in it, and whatever. So the more that you can be deliberate about what is that ideal day look like? What does that ideal week look like? And what would I be spending my time on? the more that you can get clear on that so that you can make sure that every day you're moving the needle more in that direction, the easier this all becomes. And this is not just like some theoretical woo-woo stuff. Like in today's world, that's how you win. And the reason why I say that is if you go back to the business model that I think is the business model, the only thing that you need to know, Arrow. Okay, that's what I call it, my Arrow model. Audience, relationship, offer. Audience, relationship, offer. Okay? In other words, you should build an audience-first business. Okay? Who's the audience of people that I want to care about and take care of and spend time with and invest in? Who are those people? Okay? Building my relationship then with those people. Once I've got an audience, once I've got their attention, how do I build and deepen the relationship there? And then how do I make offers that will help them, right? If that's the only thing that you think about in terms of your business model going forward, you will win. And in the world today, you will win. But in the world tomorrow, you will win even bigger. And the reason why I say that is all of this Web 3.0 stuff that is happening, it all lines up perfectly to support that model that I just described. All of the technology, all of the trends in terms of what people want, where they're giving their attention to, all that type of stuff, it all is being powered at a whole new level by what Web 3.0 is bringing to the table. So not only is it just better for you to really do stuff that you enjoy and try and build a business around stuff that you enjoy, but it's also the most practical thing that you can do to win in the marketplace going forward is to build an audience of people around the topics and things that interest you, and then to have relationships with those people. And the only way you're going to have real relationships with those people where it's really like working is where you really give a shit about them and you give a shit about the topic, right, that you're talking about. Like, as you can tell, I think I do here, right? I love this. I can talk about this all day long. And then you're creating offers because you know and understand that audience. Well, you know what they need, you understand what they need, and then they can tell that you genuinely understand their needs and that you're really trying to help them. You will win forever, right? It is practical from a psychological perspective to make sure that you're living your best life. And it's also practical from a market perspective in terms of winning with your business. So do something that you really believe in and that you care about and that you can see yourself believing in and caring about for another 10 years, 15 years, 20 years down the road, and build your business and build your life around those types of things. You're going to win. You're going to win up here and you're going to win in the marketplace. All right. That's it. Man, I had some serious time on my soapbox today. Thank you very much for giving me that opportunity. This was fun for me and valuable for me, and I hope it was for you as well. And I appreciate you guys being a part of the community as always. Audience relationship offer. That's right, Violet. Audience relationship offer. That's the only model that you really need to know. Honestly, everything else is tactics. Everything else is tactics. Everything else fits into one of those three buckets. If you keep that in mind, then going back to, the gentleman who asked me the question earlier about, what were my initiatives here for the next year? They all fall into audience relationship offer. And it's easy to keep it in mind when that's what it's all about, right? It's easy to stay focused. Thank you, Steve. Yes, I did preach. I had a good time. Thank you, Rajesh. Thank you, everybody. Have a great rest of your Friday. I'm taking my kids to Disneyland tomorrow. Booyah. I'm so excited for that. We're going to run around and have a great time. I'm going to exhaust them. We will be there all day long until they shut the place down and kick us out. We're going to have a great time. So if you follow me on social media, you'll see me posting about that. But everybody have a great Friday. We'll see you on a future office hours call. We'll see you in the Facebook groups. Until then, please make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel. Share this with anybody that you think would get some value. I would appreciate it so you can help build the community. And we will talk to you here real soon. Okay. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.